Let's begin with the screen as you see it when you first access the link. So what we can see in the main part of the screen here is a map of Sydney. We can also see the federal election divisions, and the icons that we can see are the community language schools in those areas and their locations. On the left side of the screen, you can see the legend, which here is divided up the language schools into different language groups. They're all color coded, as you can see. And on the far left of the screen, I just want you to note two of the icons, which we will come back to later. The first here is this, the second from the top is layers. I'll explain what layers are in a moment. And down below is the legend. So we're looking at the legend now. Um, and these icons here, they control what we'll see in the white menu bar here. So at the moment, we're looking at legend. Sorry, at the moment, we're looking at legend. In a moment, we'll look at layers. And we need to know where legend is so we can come back again. But first of all, if you are only interested in federal electorates, because we can also see state electorates and LGAs. So if you're interested in federal boundaries, then you only need to look at the map that shows when you first access the link. And at the moment, I think because we're looking at the whole of Sydney, it's a little bit messy. So let's zoom into one of the electorates. I'll choose Bennelong, which is the electorate where Macquarie University is located. Um, and how do we zoom in? It's the same as any kind of map application. Down in the bottom corner here, you have a plus and a minus symbol, and the plus and minus will allow you to zoom in or zoom out. You can also use your mouse, but you've got to control and give the plus. So let's zoom in first of all, and then we'll zoom out a little bit. Um, put Bennelong in the middle and then zoom in. So we can see Bennelong electorate, and I can follow the boundaries of the electorate around here, which are drawn in red, up to the M2 motorway, Lane Cove Park, down to the Parramatta River. Now, the map is easier to use now because, of course, the community language schools are a little more spread out. And we can take a look here. The black icon is Macquarie University. So if we go up the road a little bit to the purple icon here, we know that's an East Asian language from the legend. And if I click on that icon, it gives me a little bit of information about the school. So this is Epping Boys High School, Ambassadors Multilingual, Ambassadors Multicultural Chinese School. And it gives you the address of the school and also the times of the classes. So that's high school, Chinese school. There's a little cross here you can use to close that information. And if we move up the road here to Epping, the yellow icon, which is a Southern Asian language, and click on that, we can see that's the Indo-Australian Bal Bharati Vidyalaya Hindi School at Epping Primary School. And again, we've got the address and the times. So basically, you can see here by clicking through which schools are in. I won't click on all of them, which schools are in Bennelong electorate and which schools are outside the electorate. And we can see this brown icon down here, which is right on the border of Bennelong and North Sydney. So let's have a look what that one is. That's the Glazeville Public School Co-Asset After Hours program. That's the Italian language school on Victoria Road at Glazeville Public School. So we may wonder, is that particular Italian school, is it in North Sydney electorate or is it in Bennelong electorate? And the map shows us that it's in Bennelong. Um, so it can be useful for those schools that are located around the borders. Okay, now the second thing we're going to do is change the boundaries to state electorate boundaries and to LGA boundaries. Now, at this point, it's useful to know that this map is made up of what we call three layers. The first layer is the base map, which is just the simple street map of Sydney. The second layer is the boundaries. On this particular version of the map, it's the federal electorate boundaries, but we can change those boundaries to state electorate or local government authorities. And the third layer is the icons for the schools themselves. Now, we can't change that very much, but if we want to simplify things, we can actually hide the icons for the language schools, which I'll show you how to do in a moment. So this is where we need to use this icon on the left-hand side in the black bar on the left-hand side, which is the layers icon. I'm pointing my mouse at it now. I'm going to click on that. It's going to change the white bar, the menu there, from legend to layers. And it's going to take a second to do that. So you can see the layers that we have here are language school codes, federal electoral boundary, LGA, and state division. And each of those items, if you hold your mouse over it, you'll see an eye here. And the eye is telling you whether that particular layer is visible or not. So at the moment, the open eye means that it's visible. So we are seeing the language schools and we are also seeing the federal electoral boundaries. But you can see that the eye for the LGA is closed and the eye for the state electoral division is also closed. So let's just, for a moment, let's turn off the language schools icon so you can see how it works. So if I click on the eye, you can see that we can no longer see the language schools on the map, but all we have to do is click on that eye again to make them visible again. And let's turn off the federal electoral boundary. And we can simply see here the simple base map of Sydney that we're using. So let's go down to state electoral divisions. We'll turn that on. We'll open that eye and you can see that the electoral divisions are shown in purple. Okay, so what we previously saw in the center of this map was Bennelong, but now we're seeing Ryde, which is the state electoral division, and which of course is a bit smaller than Bennelong, mainly centered around Ryde. But lastly, we need to turn on again the language schools. So I click this, open the eye, and now if I zoom in a little bit more, can I do that? Okay, so the Ryde State Electoral Division is now occupying most of the map. We go back again, we see that Macquarie Park, Macquarie University icon there is within the Ryde electorate. Earlier we were looking at this school at Epping Boys High, the Ambassadors Multicultural Chinese School. We can see that this one is in the Ryde State electorate. But the other one we looked at earlier was the Hindi school at Epping Public School. We can see that's no longer, that's in the Bennelong federal electorate, but it's not in the state electorate for Ryde. And if we move down again, we can see that the school we looked at in Gladesville, the Italian school in Gladesville, is actually way outside Ryde electorate in Lane Cove. Yeah, so we can use the map in this way uh, to look at the federal electorates, all the state electorates. And if I close the state electoral divisions now, and we'll just look at the LGA. And again, Ryde is an LGA. Of course, the boundaries of Ryde, LGA. Sorry, I just expanded too much. The boundaries of Ryde, LGA are very similar to the state electoral boundaries. They're not exactly the same, but they're more or less the same. So most of the state. If we look at the Italian school that we were looking at a moment ago in Gladesville, that wasn't in the Ryde state electorate, we see that it is in the Ryde LGA. So it's in the Ryde LGA, the Bennelong federal electorate, but not in the Ryde state electorate. So that's what we can do with the map. This is playing with the layers for the electoral boundaries. But if we want to go back to the map as it was, we'll click on this icon called Legend, and we can see again the language groupings. But now we're not looking at the federal electoral boundaries, we're looking at the LGA boundaries. And if we want to change that, we will go back to the icon for layers, which is here.